this video of 2 Meter Sessions, Friends Around the World, I talk with Alain Johannes. We met for the first time in 1992 when he did a recording with his band Eleven. We met again in 2019 when we did a solo recording. Alain Johannes is well known in the California rock scene. He once started a band that later became the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Then he decided to go his own way and started a band called Eleven with Jack Irons and with the love of his life, Natasha Sheider. Eleven toured the world together with Soundgarden and good friends Queens of the Stone Age. As a studio musician and producer, he worked on records by Chris Cornell, Mark Lanegan, Queens of the Stone Age and Arctic Monkeys. On July 31st of this year, Alain released a beautiful album called Hum. We spoke extensively about the recording process of the record.
But so I put up like a ribbon mic over here and the tube mic over there, and everything was ready to go. So no matter what instrument I decided to grab, I could put a mic on it close and one that was already in the distance to give it like space and texture. So I was ready, except for I had no socks.
They will turn in inside out, and in my old book quickening.
And we also talk about Natasha Sheider, his soulmate and co-founding member of the band Eleven. She sadly passed away in 2008.
When our friends started having kids that could start speaking, they would look at me and say, "Hi, Alain and Natasha," and they would look at Natasha and say, "Hi, Alain and Natasha." It's almost like they you know what I mean? It's not, I'm not Alain and she's Natasha. They had this like weird, we always came as as a package. We always came arrived as a unit, as a way. Hello, Jan.
Hey, Alain, how are you?
Can you see me? You can't see me. Here we go.
No, now I can see you. Hi.
Oh, look at your collection, you crazy person.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's my job.
I know, right? It's I have my stuff in storage.
Yeah.
I had more vinyl before than I have now, but that's okay,
How are you?
I'm okay. It's 5 months in isolation in this beautiful space. Actually, the first month I was with my cousins, and then I got my own Airbnb because it's, just to have space. And then I didn't expect it to last so long. Here, they just let this neighborhood here out of quarantine for the first time since March 16th. So now you don't need a permit to go outside. Before, you could go twice a week.
Wow. And you're actually based in Chile, right?
I'm not based, I came here on my way to tour in Europe. So I was here, I got here on the 5th of March. We rehearsed for 1 week. I went on the weekend with my cousins to the beach, and then suddenly it looked like it was, the news was that, they're gonna have to do some lockdowns. And March 16th, they locked us in. And so it's been like that ever since. At one point, there was 7,000 cases a day, and the whole country is only 18 million people. So that's a lot. But you have to be careful, and you don't know because you don't know how you're going to react. Some people feel nothing. Some people feel kind of sick a little bit, like a regular something, and some people, they end up in the tube in the hospital, and then they have effects for months. I don't know if you know, but when I got back from Europe. I was in Italy at the end of the tour, and then I produced a band in Naples, and then I got home middle of November. I got sick, like a flu, sometimes because the tour was so intense and so long. And then it got worse in December, and then I was basically in bed 2 months. I've had pneumonia, I've had bronchitis in my life. This is nothing like it. I was just like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to survive this. I started to plan my record, and then I got up and I recorded my record. Wrote and recorded in like 12 days. Then I had 2 days to pack and do a video or two with Liam for If Morning Comes and with my manager Frank for Hum. And I got on the plane and I got to Chile on the 5th of March. And then we did like whatever, a rehearsal like I told you. And then next thing you know, we got locked down. It's crazy. So
what does it do mentally with you while being there in Chile? It's home ground.
Well, I mean, I imagine I was born here.
Yeah.
And when I was about a year and a half old, my grandmother took me from Chile to Zurich for 5 years. Then I went to Panama for a year. We got back together with my mom and my sister and everybody. Then we all moved to Mexico City in 68 to 74. Then I moved to LA at the end of 74, right after the World Cup. And so, and then right after, but that was the one thing I miss, is not playing football when I got to the States. Anyway, so then I came back to Chile in 2010 to meet my real father and my whole side of the family, because Josh Homme insisted, you know, Natasha's gone, you know, you're lost, you need to reconnect with your half of your family. So my Uncle Peter arranged a meeting. I'd never met my real father. And so I came in 2010. So imagine, even though I was born in Chile, I was gone 46 years. So every time, every year I come, like I came with Queens in 2010, hung out with my family, met everybody. Then I came with Chris Cornell in 2011. Then I started to come every year, started my trio, started my band. And I come every year for like 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time to do, you know, shows and festivals and recordings. And this time I was planning on being here only for Lollapalooza. We were doing Euphoria Morning, the whole thing with my band, and then going to Europe for the solo stuff to play Hum and all this other stuff. And then so obviously just got locked up. Yeah. So I always planned to be here for several months so I could get to know the place more, live here for a bit. But this isn't how I planned it to, meaning like, there's so many beautiful places here to go visit. There's mountains and deserts and lakes and Santiago, is cool, but it's like polluted and everything. But just to be able to like experience the culture, but I can't because I've been just locked up like this the whole time. Mm-hmm. So the strange thing is for all of us, you imagine. So you still have a broken relationship with the country you were born in. Exactly. I'm trying to develop one, but it's not making it happen easy, with this. Damn. Well, I mean, I will, of course, at some point. I need to come back at some point, but now I need to go back to LA just to get near my studio, because look, what's happening to us is like we can't tour till next year, right? Yep. And so, and production, my main way to make a living and all the engineering is also dependent on traveling and being with people. So a lot of that is not going to happen. So I'm kind of, even though I'm excited about it, I'm kind of forced to spend the rest of the year making a bunch of records. Like just make records and have them ready for whenever. I mean, look, since I've been here too, I've been doing some stuff. I've collaborated, I've done some mixing, I've done some remixing. I produced a really cool artist here from a distance, just like, whatever, we do it remotely. But I was ready to go out and, especially after being so sick and making this record, which is like such a cathartic thing for me to like move forward, to integrate the past better, to just like kind of go and out into the world and tour a bunch and experience life. And then I can't for a second. So we all have to be patient, obviously. Yeah. So, if you're talking about the integration of the past, it's your personal life, you mean, right? Exactly. Yeah, integration of meaning like all the losses that started with Natasha, then my mom, my dad, my Uncle Peter, who's my mentor, and then Chris. And then after Chris passed away, it kind of reawakened a lot of that stuff, and I found myself experiencing some mental and physical issues based on, just a sadness and just a missing and things. And so I think it came to a head and that's why I went on tour last year. Instead of making this record, I needed to go out and experience and connect with a possible audience that was out there to see, all that. And obviously I love to travel so much and I love playing live and everything. So it was really great for me. And so when I came back in November, my plan was to start the record straight away. And then it didn't happen until beginning of February because I was sick. Yeah. So being in bed for 2.5 months really gives you a lot of time to meditate and think about things,
There will turn now.
I'd like to talk about the album Hum, because I love the sound of the album. It's a great sound and I read all the critics from your fans. If you scroll down the YouTube links, you find all nice aspects about your fans and your music. So one of the things that struck me, one of your fans says, "Oh, it feels a bit like listening to Nick Drake."
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was imagining this album, because I didn't write anything before starting, I had two things that I had to have something to start so I wouldn't be lost. I had Mermaid Scream, not the lyric. I had the and the Portuguese guitar roll. I had that from an Instagram post and improvisation, and then Hum. I didn't have the melody. I just had posted the picking part. So those were my plans, song 1 and 2. In my mind, I kept picturing like the 70s Nick Drake records, 5 Leaves and Pink Moon, and then also Robert Wyatt stuff, which has basically, it has a beautiful warmth and dryness, and it's usually, in Nick Drake's case especially, it's like one center instrument, an acoustic guitar, and then there's arrangements around it, sometimes less, sometimes more. So I kept picturing like strings and horns and all these things, And then when I started the first day, and I mean, I imagined like that kind of feeling. I kept, when I was recording it, what I did is I set up like 5 microphones in the room of this kind of, rectangular space, which is quite natural and dead-ish, But so I put up like a ribbon mic over here and the tube mic over there, and everything was ready to go. So no matter what instrument I decided to grab, I could put a mic on it close and one that was already in the distance to give it like space and texture. So I was ready, except for I had no songs. So I almost imagined like, okay, so that's a template in my mind. The only shift was, instead of the horns, because I play horns enough to play on my own record. I'm not going to go do a solo show with good horns or whatever. But was that because I've been ill with this respiratory thing, that I couldn't get a good sound out of it. So the middle section of Mermaid Scream was, I put voices and the little Carlos Paredes influenced Portuguese guitar line. The original idea was a boo, 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 say I got my euphonium and then bass clarinet and the flute. And I tried like for about a minute and it was like, because I didn't have the power to do it. And I thought, well, I'm not going to let that stop me. So change of plan. Let's reshift. Like the idea is the same, but of the textures and the feeling of it, but not the what I'm using. So that's why I used like banjo with a bow or sarangi on some things like Hollowed Bones with Finis, harmonium, which you can hear in Hollowed Bones. My Evo guitars, fretless guitars with Evo, that's like, that ends up sounding like cellos or voices. My native American flute with that appears in Here in the Silence, like, that stuff. Just having these little touches when the backbone of the song is always like acoustic based, cigar box guitar or the 12 string or the tricone or an acoustic, and then some touches, obviously, as you can hear, there's some electric stuff here and there too, because I thought certain songs needed it, because If Morning Comes has this, kind of psychedelia mantra drone feeling. So I had to do one pass of like improvised ambient guitar, which you can hear in it, and I threw a couple of solos in there too, which I don't usually do, but I thought, screw it.
I love the album. It's another page in your rich oeuvre already. I mean, especially it struck me that word Nick Drake, of course, but also the time that you take for setting down an atmosphere in each song is enriching. It's beautiful. So
thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this album.
Thank you.
Yeah, commercially, it's probably suicide.
Well, that's my entire career, isn't it? No. I mean, you know, I've never, you know, and even with Natasha and I, we were always trying to chase, or we were almost like trying to write what we wish we could hear out there, being fans of music, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, in those times, Corona times, releasing an album, it was released about 4 weeks ago in the middle of Corona.
I know. Well, well, listen. And I see what you were saying it like that. I thought you meant musically.
No.
Maybe you did. Sorry, that was funny. No, I mean, yeah, but I mean, okay. So at least releasing it is like people, you know, are attentive. You know, they're out there listening to stuff. You know, and you need to keep going with your connection through art. You know, I mean, you know, people must miss like going to museums and theater performances and movies even and whatever. But other things like listening to music, reading a book, these things are probably happening more because it's a way for all of us to remain connected. You know, I know that I've been listening to music nonstop. I mean, and I go to bed with like Bach playing or Sarangi Indian classical or. And I, you know, it's been, I think, obviously, like, it's not going to be like you know, people are not going to, they're going to be listening, streaming, and the purchase of the physical of this is probably going to be less than it would have been otherwise. And it's the same for everybody. But I mean, it's just the adjustment. I'm happy it came out. I can't imagine what it would have been like to have been here and isolated for all these months, but without the excitement of having the album and talking about the album and having the joy of noticing when people are actually resonating with it and it makes them feel good and that they get it, you know, and all that stuff. That's a great feeling. So for myself, I'm happy, you know.
Down and down the world it frowns and love seems to be dying. Down and down we turn around and fight the odds much higher. Down and down the world it frowns.
Let's talk a bit about the common history that we have. Somewhere started in the early 90s with 11. Last year, I sent you a beautiful black and white picture of the early recording with 11 with you and Natasha. Can you still look at that picture? I mean, you are often talking about Natasha, of course. How hard is it for you to look at that picture?
It's become kind of mythological in a way. It's like, it's a strange feeling. It's like I can look at it and it brings me joy and it stirs memories. But at the same time, it's almost like it's a dream. It's a dreamlike feeling because the kind of everyday memory of her and I, or her talking to me, or her voice, or me looking at her, our exchanges, that is really, really become like foggy and unclear. Not like in a traumatic, like I can't think about that kind of way, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost, she's become like a myth, like a mythological being, like a angel in a dream or something. And obviously there are moments, the hardest moments I have is when I remember some of the suffering she had to go through, and obviously I was there with her when she was going the treatment, and then you know, for this awful cancer that spread through her entire body. Those moments are really, really hard because those I have to kind of keep at bay, because if I allow myself, I can allow myself little bits of it, because obviously you have to let yourself feel fully the pain. Because it's like the duality. It's like the extreme beauty and joy of our life together, and then also the horror of it. They have to be integrated in a way that is healthy. Because I don't, you know, she wouldn't want me to be like suicidal or endlessly depressed or traumatized. She would want me to keep going, and so it's a long process. Look, it's been what, 12 years now. In July, it was 12 years since she passed away. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But it's not something I can move on from. It's not something that I can be okay with, because the nature of our relationship was so particular. We were so, like, you know, people say, you know, soulmates and all that other stuff, but literally we were this strange flow between us, and two quite disparate personalities and ways of looking at things. And yet when we came together, and almost like we made this one big person, as it were. I don't know if when I spoke to you one of the times, I mentioned to you that when our friends started having kids that could start speaking, they would look at me and say, "Hi, Alan and Natasha," and they would look at Natasha and say, "Hi, Alan and Natasha." It's almost like they you know what I mean? It's not, I'm not Alan and she's Natasha. They had this like weird, you know. We always came as a package. We always came arrived as a unit, as a way. Yeah. So I see a lot of, in that photo in particular, I see a lot of her passion and intensity. It's very, very clear in that photo, which is why I love it so much. And listening to that stuff now, it's crazy. I mean, she just had like a little portable keyboard with a battery operated with speakers and me on the acoustic. And I think Jack was probably in the background somewhere hitting his shoes with his drumsticks or something. But it's crazy that period of 11. It's like this weird, almost progressive pop, post Stevie Wonder insanity, and you can hear our youth and bravado, and it's so unusual even now, right? To hear something like that, you know, 'cause we were doing our songs, but we were doing like a completely different thing to them, obviously, to make not just like, you know, strumming a couple of chords. It was quite intense to listen to, you know.
Well, as part of the archive of 2 Meter Sessions, I see it as a sample of pre-Nirvana, pre-Foo Fighters, pre-Screaming Trees. It was all before the great guitar thing happened in 1992, 1993, and so on. So
yeah, exactly.
I see it as a very important aspect of the archive. I very enjoyed the moment recording over there, which also was the case when we worked last year.
Yes, exactly.
There's a great gap between the first and the last meeting, but it felt so natural to start working again.
For me too, and I was so comfortable, and because you created this environment where there was a total understanding and kind of like reverence for the whole thing, and so the performance itself, when I look at it now, I can see myself so like at peace and happy, you know, in that environment. It was amazing. I think it was a good performance, and it really, it's so great that you can listen to both. And there's so many years apart. I mean, how many years is that? Like almost 30 years, right?
Almost 30 years, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Took me away into that place that I've lost, but I will return. Yeah, I will return to you. Boom, ba-dum, da-da-doo, ba-dum, bum. Boom, ba-da, to you. Boom, ba-dum, ba-da-doo, ba-dum, bum. Boom, ba-dum, ba-da-doo, boom.
I know that a lot of Americans don't want to talk about it, but how do you see this year 2020? In combination, Corona, Black Lives Matter, your president, what is happening? I mean...
I don't know if it's cyclical, because you can look at it, I guess, I forgot what the cycle actually is, but there's like a, you know, and it could be coincidence, you know. I think that a lot of this stuff has been building up. And I think the psychological environment, because of the extra stress of the pandemic, it just created this kind of like this acceleration of something that needed to happen. Because the social injustice in the States, and a lot of the fallacies of, you know, the illusion of land of the free and all this stuff, you know, which has been has been skewed. I mean, it's sold as something, and yes, it's an incredible place and has tons of possibility, but there's tremendous amount of egoism and narcissism and classism and racism and things that kind of maybe were hiding for a while. I was kind of surprised because I didn't realize how many active racists there actually was. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, I knew that there were, but the fact that is, and it's so polarizing, and so I think with it all started like kind of 4 years ago with Trump arriving, and Boris Johnson and Brexit and all these moments. You can see a lot of almost fascistic, authoritarian type politicians becoming. I don't know why, but the ground was fertile for them to start appearing, even in some countries in Europe, but it's almost like a quickening and a reckoning in which now there's an opportunity to reframe things, and I think we can't go back to what we were, and I think that's actually good news, Now, of course,
talk about situation of the planet, health of planet.
Exactly, health of the planet is our activity is. Our footprint, how wasteful we are, and there's so many things. I mean, obviously there's the environmental issue. There's all these things happening that are kind of came together now. And yes, of course, it's scary because especially if you start to overthink it, you can see one of the possibilities is total chaos and God knows what horrible other stuff. On the other hand,
I would almost say time for a new "THEM CROOKED VULTURES" album. This is the vulture area.
I know, right? Well, it's been 10 years, right? You know me, I'm always ready for that. It's up to those guys, That would be interesting. Can you imagine to come back to
So when you leave from Chile and go back to LA. Can you go there with a plan, or are you completely open-minded when you leave for LA?
Well, I mean, first thing, because I've been living with my sisters since I moved out of 11 AD, the old studio house. The first thing I have to do is quarantine another 2 weeks by myself before she lets me in the house. Yeah. So that will bring us to early September. My plan is to get back into my studio, spend a lot of time, just having fun and playing all my instruments I've missed all this time because, you've seen me on Instagram. I only have 2 or 3 instruments. Usually I have 200 that I can grab and start making noise on. I want to make some recordings. There's some things I've done that I've already recorded that I want to try to finish, and just get back into a swing of where life is open and stuff. And it'd be really nice to be back with my family. I mean, here it's been frustrating because I haven't been able to see my family here. I've got brothers and cousins, yes, a couple of times here and there. And yes, they come off and drop off a little something and you wave from a distance or you say hello with the elbow or a mask on. I'm hoping that it's going to be a really creative period the rest of the year of a lot of, because look, Spark was 2010, Fragments 2014, and this album is 2020. I think I can manage to make an album a year or every other year or twice a year of some kind, Yeah. And that's what I would love to do. We'll see what happens.
Well, thank you very much for your time now. Stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
Have a good trip back to LA.
Thank you. And we'll stay in touch.
Okay, we'll talk soon again. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.